Yo me llamo Juan Dibella. Nosotros servimos comida mexicana auténtica aquí para servirles a ustedes.
Dibella is a first-generation immigrant and spent years of his childhood growing up in Mexico, where both of his parents were born.
It's all about family and community and taking care of each other.
A Hispanic culture that Juan carried with him for the rest of his life.
Biggest thing is like family first, and passing down traditions and making sure that culture stays alive within a family, even if you're not down there with your family members in Mexico or wherever, really.
When he was around 7 years old, Dibella moved to the United States, where he had to learn to speak English.
Those days, there wasn't like English as a second language or anything that they have now. I literally learned it by watching cartoons in English and forcing myself to understand what they're saying. It was a little difficult.
But being bilingual was a valuable skill for Dibella's future in federal law enforcement.
No, I love what I do. Spent a better part of my life to that job, and it's very rewarding. Lots of different aspects in that. Been all over the place doing that.
It was a job that brought Dibella, his Hispanic traditions, and his family across the U.S. and eventually to the North Country.
So we've lived a lot of places, Arizona, Texas, New Mexico, Washington, D.C., Virginia, and then here.
And his passion for his Hispanic culture can be tasted right here in the North Country, where he started his own business, Elm Street Tacos.
We've always talked about opening a food truck, but we never thought it was the right time or the right place. And then when we got here, we saw that there was a lack of Mexican places to eat.
It was a realization that inspired Dibella to share his recipes and traditions with the area, and a chance for him to give others a taste of home.
Food that brings you back to when you're a kid. We have customers all the time that especially, here on Fort Drum, they come over and they eat. And the first thing they say is like, wow, this takes me back to when I was a kid. Reminds me of my mom or my grandma. And that's what really makes our day. That's when we know that we've done our job. As far as keeping those traditions alive, people cry, literally cry when they taste the food, because it just brings them back to that, special memory of a loved one or family or whatever. And that's what it's all about.
And the response means the world to Dibella and reminds him of his own family in Mexico.
So whenever somebody gets emotional with the food, it makes me remind me of my family, because I know with the food, my grandma and my mom are both passed. So for me, it brings me back to those days as a kid. But when I see them go through that, it makes me feel good, that I can make them relive a positive memory. And in turn, it makes me, feel the same way. So the more people we can make happy, the better.
But Dibella said he also strives to share his food and culture with others who have come from other cultural backgrounds.
Our food to people that have never had it before. That exposure to new people has been great, and it's a blessing.